Welcome to today's edition of the Author's Corner, brought to you by KNEO 91.7 FM The Word. I'm Roberta Foster. Today I welcome Sarah Reju to Author's Corner, and she has written the book Coop Learns He Can, which is published by New Growth Press, and she'll tell you more about how to find it at the end of the program. In the meantime, let me tell you a little bit about Sarah. She is a pastor's wife and mother living in Delaware. She is the author of several books, including Jesus Saves, God is Better, and many others, including the Wheelies series. And Sarah and her husband Deepak have 5 children. And Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And so, does having 5 children giving you some insight into writing your books?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, each kid is so different. Each personality is so different. Mm-hmm. And so it's been really fun writing books with them in mind even.
Okay. And so for those who may not be familiar with the Wheelies, why don't you introduce us to the series and your cast of characters?
Sure. So there are 3 books in the series. The first is called Coop Messes Up. Then there's Coop Helps Out, and the most recent one is Coop Learns He Can. So as you can tell from the titles, the main character is named Coop, and he's a car. So think a small Mini Cooper. He has 4 older siblings who are all also different types of vehicles. So his sister is a Jeep, and he has another sister who's a police car. Another one's a Volkswagen Beetle. Okay. He has a brother who's a pickup truck. And then his 2 parents also. Mom is a fire truck, and dad is a garbage truck. So the series is all surrounding this family and the adventures that Coop has, the struggles he has, and the things that he learns about God in the process.
Well, I could see how a family might go out and buy little mini vehicles that would be similar to all of these characters in your story, and what fun that could be.
Yeah. When our kids were small, they used to turn different vehicles into families, so that was part of the inspiration for it.
Okay. So in the book, Coop Learns He Can, he's excited about spending a day with his sister Joy, but it doesn't go quite as he had planned. What is the theme of your story with Coop Learns He Can?
Yeah, so Joy is a Jeep, and she loves to go off-roading. And so she's trying to get her siblings to come with her down to her favorite spot, which is a gravel pit, where she can drive through the mud and the rocks and the streams. And the other siblings are all busy, but Coop's really enthusiastic, and he wants to come too. So he comes along with her, and he tries to do the things that she's doing, so driving over the rocks and the rough ground, but he gets stuck, and he realizes that he can't do the same things that she's able to do because he was made differently. Mm-hmm.
And that can be kind of a discouraging thought, and yet that's kind of the theme of your book, is to make sure that children know that they are built differently, they can do things differently for a special purpose, isn't it?
Yeah, so each of us is fearfully and wonderfully made by God, and each of us has strengths and weaknesses. And so the book is targeting that heart of jealousy, where a child will look at a sibling or a friend or somebody else who's maybe better at something or more naturally gifted in a certain area and feel jealous about that, and not be able to see the ways that God has uniquely and wonderfully made them with their own set of talents and strengths and weaknesses that can be used for His glory also.
So you mentioned that in the story, Coop gets stuck or can't do all that Joy does, but the fact that he is different comes to Joy's rescue later on in the story, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So Joy ends up getting a flat tire in the middle of the stream, and she starts sinking, and she's not able to rescue herself. So she tries to throw her tow cable out to connect with a rock, and she can't get it. And so she screams out to Coop for him to help her. And he's hesitant at first. He doesn't think he's strong enough or that he can do it. But it turns out that because he's smaller and he can weave in between the rocks really well, he's actually able to get that down there to help her better than anybody else in his family would have been able to. Mm-hmm. So it's because of the way he was made that he's able to help her.
Amen. Well, I'm talking today with Sarah Reju regarding her book, Coop Learns He Can, which is published by New Growth Press, and you're listening to Author's Corner, and I'm Roberta Foster. And again, you are highlighting the fact that each of us is fearfully and wonderfully made. We're made to do things differently, and yet all to the glory of God. In the book, do you have a Bible verse that is especially emphasized?
We do, yes. Psalm 139:14. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well.
And Coop has been learning that, and so that I would imagine, comes to mind as he's going through this trial with his sister.
It does come to mind, and it serves as a bit of a turning point for him, where he's able to start to get his mind off of his jealousy and begin to think about ways that the Lord could use him with the way that he was made.
So you're talking about jealousy. So sometimes we realize that we have skills that others don't, and so you address that in the book as well, that we have no more right to be sad that we don't have skills as we have pride that we do have skills, do we?
Yeah, that's right. Just remembering that every gift that we or someone else has is from the Lord. And so it's not intended to build us up or to make us great. It's intended to show people how great God is. Mm-hmm. And weaknesses, too. I think it's easy to focus on strengths and forget weaknesses, but God's strength, the Bible tells us, works through our weaknesses. And he can be glorified in such amazing ways when we see that there's no way that, that we could have done something on our own because of our weakness, and it's clearly him.
Mm-hmm. So do you include tips in your book for parents who have a child that is jealous of his or her siblings, and what parents might be able to do to help a child to learn from that?
We do, yeah. So each of the books has a note for parents section at the back. And so the one for Coop Learns He Can has a section on just talking through whether you have kids who maybe are more inclined to show off their talent and how to address that with them and help them remember their talents are a gift from God. Or on the flip side, if you have kids who are often discouraged because of their weaknesses that they see, and then tips for parents on how to encourage kids in that situation also.
Can you give us a little bit of insight, especially on helping children to not be discouraged by their weakness? That seems like it might take a more delicate approach.
Yeah. I think reminding kids that when God's strength works through them and through their weaknesses, that they're able to display his power and glorify him, and that's the purpose of it. So I think encouraging kids to think beyond what our culture values, which is often more things related to strength and power, that's what culture values. But there are so many stories in the Bible of people who were weak and unlikely that you can share with your kids. So think of Peter, who denied the Lord, and Ruth, who was a widow living outside of her homeland, and Moses, who thought that he couldn't speak well. And God used each of them in amazing ways. Yeah. So I think telling our kids those stories and being creative with them, thinking with them about how God can use their design and the special ways that he's made them.
Wonderful. So you kind of gave us some insight into the other stories that are part of the Wheelies series. Tell us a little bit about the beautiful book and the illustrations. It says that it's illustrated by Tania Rex. What can you tell us about her and how you worked with her to create these books?
Tania did a fabulous job with creating the pictures to go along with the story. So she just did really great at capturing different emotions of the cars. It's not an easy thing to do, right, to show a car who's discouraged or happy or surprised. She really has wonderful gifts with doing that. So I couldn't have been happier with that. And she also includes lots of interesting little details in the pictures, and whether it's a bird that's sitting and watching the action or the flowers surrounding them as they're going through the gravel pit. So just lots of wonderful, colorful details also that I think kids will really enjoy.
Well, this is a series of 3 books that you've already done as part of the Wheelies. Are there more to come?
That is to be determined. So we currently have 3, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Okay. And so the book we're talking about today is Coop Learns He Can, and it's written by Sarah Reju and published by New Growth Press. So Sarah, tell our listeners how they can find out more about this book and the many others that you've written.
Sure. They can find this book on the New Growth Press website or on Amazon, Christian book distributors, other places where they would typically get books, and same thing for the other books I've written as well.
All right. Well, as a reminder, once again, the book is Coop Learns He Can, written by Sarah Reju and illustrated by Tania Rex and published by New Growth Press. Sarah, thank you so much for putting so much of your heart into these books and for being with us today on Author's Corner.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And to our listeners, if you'd like to hear this interview again or share it with someone else, you can find it on your favorite podcast platform or through kneo.org. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Roberta Foster on the Author's Corner. Join me again next time.